It was a weekend of absolute shocks in the English FA Cup, but defending champions Arsenal survived it. And what do you do when you predict something really awful and it becomes a reality? Well, be very careful what you wish for so that you don't end up like the special one. I'm talking about the happy one at Stamford Bridge, Jose Mourinho. Hello and welcome. I'm Cecilia Amogbe and you're watching Sports This Morning. First, the headlines. Where FIBA, that is the International Basketball Federation, appoints the Tigers captain Olumide Oyedeji on Players Commission. And Serena Williams is still in the race for the Australian Open title, beating Gabin Muguruza, the Spaniard who sent her out of the French Open last year to get to the last 8. Also on the program, the Seattle Seahawks are in Phoenix, Arizona, ready to retain the Super Bowl. Well, before Tayo Salam joins me for details of these and more, let's see how Manchester City were humbled at Middlesbrough at the Etihad, how they were actually humbled by Middlesbrough at Etihad, and Pellegrini refusing to blame the trip to Abu Dhabi as a major factor for the exit from the FA Cup.
I don't think so. I don't agree with you, but you can have your opinion. I have a different opinion. We have 6 or 7 clear chances to score the goal at the beginning. I think that we played very well. After they scored the goal, we are disordered, and they have another counter-attack, and they can score more goals. But it's very easy to say that, but that's the reason. I don't think that that's the reason.
I knew that it was going to be very, very difficult, and when we have scored the second goal, everything was done. But I told them that we had Man City in our hands because the only chances that they had, chances at the first half, but the chances came from our mistakes, and we've fixed those mistakes in the second half, and we were better with the ball. We haven't lost the ball in the same way that we have lost in the first half, and we had these chances.
Good morning once again. I'm Cecilia Morg. Of course, Tayo Salam joins me now. We will be talking, first of all, about what happened to Manchester City, but we'll go into details of what we will be talking about today. What happened to Man City, Tayo? Just something from you.
They got beat by a better side on the day. Middlesbrough on that day really, as you would expect in an FA Cup match, they were really up for it. Okay. In the first half, they were under pressure a lot, but their goalkeeper kept them in the game. But in the second half, whatever entered them, I really don't know.
Okay,
they took advantage of the chances they created, and they were deserved winners of that particular game. Shame for Manchester City, and it's been controversy about them taking that trip to Abu Dhabi, returning to England on the Friday night, and now playing a game
8 p.m.
on a Saturday. A lot of people feel they were not taking the competition serious, and that's why they scheduled.
Or rather, they were not really taking their opponents serious. Yeah, so felt, okay, it's just Middlesbrough, we can override them and get to the next round, something like that.
I think it's more of both. They were not taking the competition serious. It's just the FA Cup. A lot of big teams are fond of doing that nowadays.
Okay. Now, remember when Jose Mourinho actually came to Stamford Bridge? Yeah. The first trophy he won was the FA Cup, right?
Yeah, that was the Carling Cup.
That was the Carling
Cup. Then, yeah, the League Cup then, yeah. But then you have to understand these big teams really prioritize the Premiership and the Champions League most times.
Okay,
but then
so
I don't want to take anything away from
what happened to Jose Mourinho? No, he actually said on Friday that it would be shameful for Chelsea to lose to Bradford City. Wow. And what happened on Saturday? He lost 4 goals to 2. They were leading by 2 goals to nothing. And at the end of the day, they lost the game at Stamford Bridge.
What a game. What a game. And it's interesting you pointed out what he said on Friday, and that's exactly what happened on Saturday. Disgraceful performance by Chelsea, very embarrassing. Not only the results was disgraceful, but the performance itself wasn't good enough. So yeah, they deserve to lose.
Okay, let's come back home. What was your biggest moment at the weekend? Was it the FA Cup shocks, or rather the African Cup of Nations? I mean, some teams actually got to the quarterfinals. The teams that you never expected that would get to the semi-finals, or that would get to the quarterfinals. You can talk to us on Twitter and, of course, on Facebook about that. What do you think? What was your biggest moment at the weekend, the biggest shocks of the weekend? Was it the fact that you had Chelsea going out, and, of course, you're also having Manchester City going out, and also the fact that Burkina Faso could not even win a game? The only thing they had going for them was just a draw at AFCON. Talk to us on Twitter and on Facebook, and we'll get to read your tweets, hopefully, tomorrow.
Well, good for Arsenal, though. The Arsenal.
We will talk about Arsenal much later. Now, let's talk about this one. Olumide Oyedeji. I think we're starting from there. Our news reaching us from FIBA this morning is that he has been, he's now on the board of the Players Commission. Now, this Players Commission is actually a new board by the International Basketball Federation, and he will be joining some of the players across the world, and they will be responsible for players, what is happening to players, and all the things they really want to do. And it's a new commission, and it's going to run, his tenure will run from 2014 to 2019. That's the term of office. And the thing is that his nomination, it means we now have 2 Nigerians in the FIBA board, which is really good news for Nigerians. And of course, Olumide Oyedeji, remember, he's the captain of the Tigers, and he's also a member of the Nigerian Basketball Federation. Okay, now talking about AFCON, we'll start with what happened in Group A. I thought Gabon was definitely going to go all the way to the finals.
But before we talk about AFCON, I know you don't like losing, but then we've got to say that Nigeria lost to Egypt yesterday in a team event.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. Yeah, for real. I know it's not good news, but then it's still news. And the game against Egypt, I didn't find it as a surprise because the Egyptians, as a team, I think they're a better side than Nigeria. So it wasn't
they have a better team, man. We just have a star player.
Exactly. I said to a friend of mine, to a mate of mine, jokingly, that if only Aaron Okodre was the Nigerian team, they wouldn't have a problem playing the Egyptians.
Well, he didn't lose any of his games. He won all his matches.
That's what I was saying. He didn't lose any game. Actually, in that game, for the men's event against Egypt, Nigeria actually won the first game. That's Aaron Okodre. Won his first match, beating Lashin in the first game. But then the other guys just couldn't hold up. Ojuon Olapo, Jide Ogidiolu lost the games. But then Aaron Okodre came again and equalized for Nigeria. So it was 2-2 going into the decider. And you thought to yourself, okay, can Nigeria do it now? But then outside Lashin again just proved once again that he is one of the best on the continent, defeating Ojuon Olapo in 3 straight games in that one. Not a very good one for Nigeria, but then
getting to the final and place is something.
Yeah, and winning silver.
But it was always going to be between Nigeria and Egypt right from the very beginning. And the Egyptians were actually tipping, of course, Aaron Okodre to do very well. But at the end of the day, he did well, but it's the team event. So the singles is going to start tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's what we're waiting for. That's what a lot of Nigerians are waiting for. And I would believe Aaron Okodre, undoubtedly the best in Africa now, can really get that gold for Nigeria. In the women's event as well, it's a similar pattern, but it's even worse for them because they were 2-0 up, 2 matches to love or up, and they go on to lose 2-3 in that match.
Same scoreline, but the men and the women, the Egyptians, of course, carrying the day.
Yeah, definitely they're the best in Africa when it comes to team table tennis.
Okay. Singles event, of course, starting tomorrow. Hopefully, Nigeria can get something out of that. And doubles event will start on Wednesday. Is the International Table Tennis Federation African Senior Championship taking place in Cairo, in Egypt. Okay, let's go to Nations Cup now. Let's see the results of what happened yesterday. Shocking result, of course, from the FA Cup shocks. We moved over to the Nations Cup shocks. Now, for Burkina Faso to have come to the Nations Cup, remember they were finalists in 2013, and of course they pushed Nigeria all the way, and it took Sunday Mba a moment of magic on a Sunday he was the one who gave Nigeria the title. Now, Burkina Faso came to this tournament, got just a draw, and did not win any game. Jonathan Pichopa, Bonse, all of them going home without winning a game and going home without getting out of their group. Tayo?
Burkina Faso, massive disappointment for them. But then let's start with Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea in that game against Gabon. What a match. That has to be the most exciting I've seen in the tournament thus far. Loads of scoring chances. But then the goalkeeper for Equatorial Guinea, Felipe Ovono, he had a blinder. He was really superb. He saved a lot of goal-bound shots from the Gabonese. I remember one particular header in the first half from Aubameyang. Yeah, what a save to keep Equatorial Guinea in the match, and they went ahead to score two beautiful goals. Ave Balboa, we talked about him at the start of the competition. Former Real Madrid player. Yeah, he didn't really play for Real Madrid, but for him to have been at that club, it shows you he's got something. Quality. And he came up with that. He won the penalty and scored the penalty. And Iban Edu wrapped up on victory for Equatorial Guinea in that one. So it's good to see the old progressing.
The Group A looked like you had them having 7 points. They did not lose a game. I'm talking about Congo. Congo just a draw, then won 2 games. And for Equatorial Guinea, all they needed to do, first 2 draws, and the last game, they had to do everything possible to win it. Now, when you're having a defending champions in the quarterfinals, I think fans would definitely want to come to the stadium.
Definitely, it's good to see them going on into the quarterfinals. Remember, they came through the back door to qualify. They didn't actually qualify for this particular tournament, but because they're hosting the competition, they got through the back door, and it kind of reminds me of 1992 when Denmark actually did something similar, and they went on to win the competition. Now, I'm not saying Equatorial Guinea will win the competition now.
From one indication, I think they really know how to save the best for last. When they started, it was a draw. The next game, it was a draw, and the only thing they needed to do was get the victory, and beating, Gabon, I think is huge, and it's really big for them.
Yeah, massive achievement
There's a
for
particular
Equatorial Guinea. The last time they did it was in 1992. It's a long time ago. So to see them going into the quarterfinal, it's very big now. But I've got a little problem.
Which is?
In the quarterfinals, it will be chaotic.
Yes,
believe me, I remember the first match they played at this tournament. Did you see the turnout? It was massive. I think the stadium definitely was overfilled on that day. I can imagine what's going to happen in the quarterfinals.